Halloween. So, if you're wearing a costume, have a great time this weekend. Anyway, here's my imitation of the Wolf Man. Ah, you can't outrun the Wolf Man like you can Frankenstein. Anyway, this is my holiday wisdom for you today. So let's start with currency. Last Friday left you with a 1640 sale in euro. We did some profit taking on the Fed day, and by target's about 1480-ish. So that means there's about another 70 pips or so. Probably get there. My guess would be without weekend surprise early next week, Monday, Tuesday. That's where I would be booking it and stepping aside. Of course, the pound has been a bigger payoff to the downside. When I talked to you Wednesday before the interview I had with Dean on Thursday, I said we had a breakdown at 52.50. You could sell a rally to 32.50, and that's exactly what happened. The high was 47, almost 48, and here we are lower. It does look like we're starting to get some type of three drive, but I don't think we're ready yet for a turn. And with the way Euro Pound's acting, uh, the euro might be a reverse down there, 1480. We'll see. So when I was on the air with you guys Wednesday live, I talked about shorting Aussie, that it was in my sell zone up here above 66. You went in the room, you saw the entry at 10, 6610, took partials down here. So that was good for almost 70 pips on half, holding the other half, thinking that maybe we could get another, trade in the 64 range before there's any kind of rally. Longer term, I'm looking for 62 for a long-term buy. Um, I'm also attempting shorts in the yen. We had a throw over 154. Maybe we have some follow through. Conservatively, you just wait for it to trade back under 53.70, a candle closing back under this throw over. Here's the formation. So it comes all the way off these lows from May. And then we had this looked like might be a double top, blew through it, warned not to be short or have any position into the BOJ. And this was the BOJ. So if we could start getting back inside of this, and yields begin to drop again, I think we could have a nice short position on in yen. Dixie, I've been positive. No one, talked about it. Have some longs. Here's your take profit target about par 25. That's about another 60 points or so, not that far away, close to where the euro will be under 115 though. So that covers uh, what happened, what we did, and what we're going to be looking to do next week is to book these profits. I'm not sure about reversing. I think if I reverse, I'd prefer the US dollar yen as a short, but we'll see. Could always trade the other side. That's what traders do, but we'll need some evidence. Right now, it's just a take profit scenario. Same thing with Canada. Canada had a real good week. It pulled back down to, really nice measured move off this breakdown, 38. So we should see new highs in Canada, the possibility of new highs, 41, 41 and a half, and then maybe a pullback. So after we get to par 50 or so, higher highs in the Dixie, I'm expecting a pullback. All right. So let's talk PMs now because I believe there's going to be a shorting opportunity. Last week, I was looking for this week if we rallied to 42 to do it. Instead, we just broke down to another level, which makes this pretty close to a $500 decline. So, halfway back would be, 41 and a quarter. So I think anywhere between here, extreme case would be 42. and that's only 61.8 back. Now, silver's been acting better than gold as the gold silver ratio corrects. But to me, I think this is just a pullback in the gold silver ratio and that we have another wave, maybe back to 90, something like we've had here. Nine would take it up to 90. So silver, which held where I had forecasted it would hold right here because of how we held to the left, is approaching a sell. I would try it as close to this line as possible, 50-40, 50-50, and then maybe use a money stop, risk a buck, because perhaps we could get, another $8 to the downside that could take it to 42 from up there. So those are the two trades in the metals that I see coming up. Interest rates have been a little bit difficult. Energy is really taking off. I did talk about nat gas going into the gap. I didn't act on it. This was just from yesterday. So here we are approaching new highs. Looks pretty good. I don't think you could argue with nat gas. Um, Perhaps this will be some type of three drive. Don't chase it though. Don't chase it. If we get any kind of risk off, I think, even WTI could be pressured, but WTI is looking pretty good too. Not as good. I mean, you look at the two charts, we're putting in consecutive higher lows in that gas where WTI isn't. Now, it's not that I don't think WTI could get 64, but I think that these lows will be tested, taken out, clean out the last of the bulls. I'm aware that we have big short positions in crude, which could be fuel on the upside, but I'm thinking that there's one more decline. Okay, let's address the stock indexes here. So we opened up with a gap, okay, and we tried to fill it yesterday, didn't quite do it during that sell-off. The gap is filled at 68.13, and if that's the case, if we get there in the next few days, maybe we're going to make a new high first, but the daily is still diverging. The 4 hour wasn't. Kind of the opposite of how silver was at its top. Gold never diverged on any time frame and still broke. So looking at this, filling this gap at 813, this gap would be an exhaustion gap. What does exhaustion mean? It means the market's tired, due for a rest. So the same type of scenario is working there. So, I'm underwater with some option losses in the semiconductors, but I actually added some more this week, and here's the SOX. So the SOX as well has a couple of gaps here to really confirm that we're doing something wrong. It's been a good week. We'd have to fill these gaps back above prior highs, and that's around 292. That's about 2-3% from here. I do want to point out, though, that even though we're having a rebound in these, that let's face it, what's the market? The number one stock in the market is NVIDIA, market cap wise, even though we had huge moves in Apple with good earnings as well. I just want to show you what happened in NVIDIA, which I'm sure is called a little higher, it's called for higher. But you see here, we already filled the gap that it left from Monday. Okay, this was, the fact that the gap up was on Trump and China cutting a deal. What the deal is, I don't think it's what he was looking for. I think it's like kicking the can down the road for another year. Sounds like Congress, where we won't be cut off from rare earth minerals for a year, and China's tariffs, the threat was pulled back on. So we'll see. I mean, there still could be some more developments. I don't know if it's sealed, but it's obvious that they want to cooperate, but it's, how long? There's still plenty of tension between the two countries, even though they need each other. One of the semis that I was bearish on was Avco, which is Broadcom. And I was thinking we weren't going to make a new high, but everything did. But check out the daily. We're still diverging. Maybe this is drive two. I wouldn't be long any of these, even if they keep going higher. All right. Here's Palantir, that as well, made a new high, but they're still diverging on the daily. And even just going back to the indexes with this huge move to the upside, we didn't confirm on the daily. We confirmed on the 4 hour, we got to above 80. If we make new highs into next week, we're not going to confirm and we won't confirm on the daily. No, it may sound like a broken record, but then you'll have alignment of momentum divergences with both the daily and the 4 hour. Okay, so let's move on to Bitcoin. It's trying to stage a little bit of a recovery. But last time I left you, someone asked me about Bitcoin. I said you could be short against 116. Then I'm still looking for 100K, and 100K still looks possible. This was a pretty good break, 10K, 10,000, and we're recovering. But I don't like the RSI reading here. I don't like the RSI reading here. And I do think eventually this weakness in Bitcoin and other crypto, in fact, Ethereum doesn't look much better, which people were looking for this to outperform. Doesn't look any better. In fact, for a few days, there were bigger percentage losses in Ethereum. This is in the bottom. If you want to buy this stuff, please be patient. So I think that's about it. That's the whole board. So, I'll be looking for shorting opportunities still next week, taking profits in currencies, looking to add to US dollar yen on a break under the throwover. So, decent week, um, unless you were like me, bearish a week early or so in the stock market, but I still haven't lost my conviction, even if the S&Ps trade above 7,000. This is not the time to be aggressively long. It may not be the time to be short either, but I'd rather play that side of the market right now, thinking that there could be some kind of disappointments with growth, with inflation. Maybe it's going to be earnings. Maybe it's going to be trade problems again. But a stronger dollar is not necessarily bullish for equities. Even though the Fed cut, a stronger dollar does create tighter monetary conditions, especially since we're having issues in the repo market with a shortage of dollars. Okay, they don't have a shortage of euros or Aussies or cable. What's happening in overnight markets here in the US is about dollar demand. And overseas, it's euro dollar demand. Okay, not the euro USD, euro dollar, the 90-day instrument that's a monster. That a lot of countries are captive by what happens in that market. Just a quick update. Part of the deal was that China would buy beans, but I told you to buy beans down here and then to buy the pullback, and here we still have a breakout. So I think I was able to get you definitely to take a look and maybe be long beans before there was a deal with China, and would bring up that, for our farmers, letting beans rot in the field, price action was pretty good. So um, beans were going up before. Now maybe we'll get some profit taking. Anyway, the grains still look good to me. I'd buy breaks. I'd buy breaks in wheat. I don't think we're going to make a new low. We could. Corn's coming off a bit because, it's not part of it, but, this has been a real nice advance, 383, 70, 80 cents. I'd buy pullbacks. Okay, so the grains may not be able to make a lot of progress until this dollar rally completes. And even though I'm taking profits on long dollar positions looking for a pullback, my ultimate target is still up there around 102, 103. I just think there's going to be a jiggle before that happens, that we get up towards here and then we have maybe a pullback to where we were. But eventually, I'm looking for the 103 level. Let me find the weekly. Here you go, 102, maybe 103. I know some bulls are looking for 105, but 102 is going to be my target. And that means that after this bounce in the euro from 1480, if it happens, we have big trades left because it's my view we're going to at least 112 and possibly down here to 108 before we could fade the dollar big time. So that's a wrap, everyone. I hope that you caught the Aussie from the other day and the Euro from Friday. And I think that were mainly the ideas that I had this week. So have a great weekend, recharge, get ready. We're going to start a new month and let's see what November brings to the table. Whatever it is, we'll be ready to do something about it when our work points us to it. So don't just count your pips, count your blessings. I'll see you in the room. Good hunting, everyone. Adios.